3, hit it!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to today's Caffeine for the Soul. And I really want to encourage you to take some time after you've listened to this podcast to check out our all-free basic course at michaelneill.org/basic course, where you can learn more and kind of experience more for yourself about the kinds of things I talk about in these podcasts. And today what I want to talk about is forgiveness. And I have talked about forgiveness at other times in these podcasts, and I've shared that how forgiveness was one of those things that my personal relationship with was, I was against it. Not that I was in favor of holding grudges, but I had sort of fallen in love with a concept, with an idea that forgiveness was a self-righteous illusion. That I'd read somewhere that in order to forgive, you first have to judge. And since judgment is self-righteous, then forgiveness is a self-righteous illusion, because basically what you're doing is you're judging the hell out of somebody and then you stop judging and you feel good about yourself because you're not judging them anymore. There's a scene in Schindler's List where Liam Neeson's character, Oskar Schindler, is trying to get one of the more extremely violent and extremely crazy commanders from one of the prison camps to not shoot people quite so often or so randomly. And he talks to him about forgiveness, and the Ralph Fiennes plays the camp commander, and he says, "Forgiveness, that's weakness." And Schindler convinces him. He says, No, it's power, because only you have the power to forgive. And the camp commander quite likes that. And he's like, okay. And he's like looking in the mirror going, I forgive you. I forgive you. And there's something so creepily self-righteous about it, even though it, might have saved lives. It doesn't work out. Spoiler alert. But that was how I saw forgiveness. And yet, whenever I heard the phrase, all your sins are forgiven, I forgive you. You are forgiven. I could feel myself relax. All the air came out of a balloon, but in a good way. So instead of just being left empty, and it was just like, like relief. And so I thought that, I'd always thought that was interesting, that I conceptually didn't believe in forgiveness, but obviously at some level my body did. And then I began studying the work of the Scottish mystic Sid Banks in the field of the three principles and the inside-out understanding. And Sid would talk about forgiveness as seeing psychological innocence. That if you see that people are always doing the best they can given the thinking they have that looks real to them, given the thought-created reality that they're living in, what they're doing makes perfect sense to do. They really can't do anything else as long as the world looks that way to them. If it looks to you like that person at work is out to get you, then you kind of have to either defend yourself or hide or attack. If it really looks to you like a group of people are ruining things, then it's not weird that you might do things to stop that group of people. The behavior is completely understandable. It's just that the thought-created reality is nuts. It's not real. It's not true. But as long as somebody is stuck in a reality, there's an innocence to their behavior. And if you see the innocence, it's quite natural to forgive. And when I started looking in terms of seeing innocence, I realized that it was quite easy for me to forgive myself, because I could see, well, yeah, given what I thought was happening, what I did made a lot of sense. It's just it turned out that what I thought was happening wasn't what was happening. And so it looked to me like the obstacle to forgiveness was sometimes just my inability to see, but most of the time it was just I'd forget. I just forget the whole idea of innocence. I'd forget that people can't behave like circles when they believe they're a square. They can't be kind to people that they think are fundamentally not worthy of kindness. They can't stop eating foods that they think are ambrosia, even if they're actually rat poison. And then forgiveness comes automatically when you remember. So the game of forgiveness just becomes about forgetting and remembering. And then I set about, kind of logically, well, okay, then what I need to do is get better at seeing innocence. What I need to do is get better at remembering and not forget so much and remember quicker. And it became sort of this personal growth project. And then a friend suggested to me, why not just try instant forgiveness? And I was intrigued. I said, well, what's that? And they said, well, it's a choice with no downside. They said, if you pull it off and you're able to finally see the innocence of a behavior and how they really couldn't do different because until they saw different and that the point of trying to get better at remembering is because you know when you remember, forgiveness is automatic. Then why wait? If you know where you're going to wind up with is seeing innocence and forgiving, letting go of the grudge that doesn't hurt anybody but you anyway. That is one of the quotes that I always loved, is that holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So the choice to forgive even before you've seen it, to just forgive as a matter of course. As soon as you notice you're holding the grudge, as soon as you notice you're in the judgment, as soon as you notice you think you could have done different or somebody else should have done different, even though in that moment they really couldn't, then why wait? Why not get the benefit of forgiveness now? And all I can say to you is, it's been revelatory. Even allowing the idea of instant forgiveness into my life has just fundamentally changed. I've noticed I've dropped a lot of judgment that I didn't even know I had. And to be fair, a lot of it was aimed at me. Like I had no idea how mean to myself I am and how judgy of myself I've been. But as soon as I noticed, it wasn't actually hard to let that go. And even just knowing that you don't have to wait until you see it to let it go if you know what you're ultimately going to see, then instant forgiveness goes from a cool concept to a way of being in the world. Have fun, learn heaps, happy exploring, and I'll talk with you soon.